Apologies for the pure fiction gameplay in the background. I didn't have anything else to use, really. So, anyway, I got done watching the 2.6 live stream special program, and to be honest, it was full of a lot of fluff. Like, a lot of fluff. So, but that aside, the story is more than likely going to be filler, but it's somehow going to tie into the grand scheme of things, because it's Honkai Star Rail. If 1.4, I believe, 1.5 and 1.6 were important, then 2.6 is going to be as important as well. Kind of. But I'm not here to talk about the story. Instead, I'm here to talk about how fucking loaded 2.6 is. Minus Rappa. Because we don't know how good she really is, but she's erudition to begin with, so, take it with a grain of salt. She's good for pure fiction, but for everything else, probably not. Anyway, so in 2.6, we have Don Hung and Barbara de Lune rerunning at the same time as Rappa, so he will be in the first phase. Which is really weird, honestly, because that's two imaginary DPSs back on the same fucking thing, but whatever. But 2.7, or 2.6 second phase, on the other hand, that's where the real loaded comes into play, because we're getting Acheron and Aventurine, characters from 2.1. Poor Dr. Ratio still hasn't gotten a rerun since 1.6, and I know some people will say, oh, well, that's because he was given out for free for until like 2.2, I think, or 2.1. Sure, that may be the case, but we didn't get his Lycone for free, now did we? So, there's that. And we are well past the point of not getting Ratio for free, that I think he should get a rerun banner, even if he's one of the worst 5-star characters in the game, in my opinion. So there's that. So let's talk about Aventurine and Acheron really quick. So if you already have these characters, then just click off the video or just mute me and watch my pure fiction run. I don't care. But I will be talking about Acheron and Aventurine in how both of them are must pulls. And it sucks, especially if you're free to play. Now, if you skipped some of the more recent banners, like 2.5 and 2.4, and you have more than enough pulls to guarantee both of them, which somehow is, I don't know if that's even possible, but hell, it might be possible, but I don't know. So let's go over Acheron really quickly. So Acheron is a Lightning Nihility character that is one of the best, if not the best, top-tier DPS in the entire freaking game, despite being Nihility, which, for those unfamiliar, just means I apply a bunch of debuffs to you. But with Acheron, she's a mix of Nihility and Destruction because she's actually a main DPS that does a stupid amount of damage, especially when she uses her ultimate. So, if you're not at all familiar, sequentially unleash Rainblade 3 times and Stygian Resurge 1 time, dealing lightning damage up to a percentage of her attack to a single target enemy, as well as lightning damage equal to a percentage of her attack to other targets. And Rainblade, lightning damage equal to a percent of her attack to a single target and enemy, and removes up to 3 stacks of Crimson Knot from the target when it's removed. Immediately deals lightning damage equal to a percentage of her attack to all enemies. All enemies, keep in mind. For every stack of Crimson Knot removed, this damage multiplier is additionally increased up to a max of a percentage. And then Stygian Resurge deals lightning damage equal to a percentage of her attack to all enemies and removes Crimson Knot. Crimson Knot cannot be applied to enemies during the ultimate. And I believe Crimson Knot is part of her talent. Yes. When Slashed Dream reaches 9 points, which is her unique ultimate, so instead of characters gaining energy throughout their ultimate, Acheron is unique, well, not anymore, in that she charges her ultimate by gaining 9 of something. This is her unique ability. The ultimate can be activated. During the ultimate, reduces enemies' toughness, regardless of weakness type, and reduces all enemies' all-type resistance by percentage, lasting until the end of the ultimate. That is what makes her truly broken. Because this game heavily relies on wanting to break the enemy's weakness, which is why they have weakness types. Which is why you want to, use fire-based damage dealers against fire-weak enemies. Imaginary-based damage dealers against imaginary weak enemies. That's why Destruction is one of the best paths in the game, because it hits one main target and then 2 adjacent targets. And most of the time, the main target shares a weakness type with the 2 side targets. And that's what you want to exploit. Acheron's ultimate says, nah fam, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm just going to say, screw weakness type, screw having Silver Wolf, boom. Continuing on, when any unit inflicts debuffs on an enemy target while using their ability, she gains a point of slash stream and inflicts one stack of Crimson Knot on a target. So she only works well with debuffers, but there's a handful of them, and a lot of them are really good. So she works with Gallagher, she works with Pela, she works with Jiao Cho, I believe. She works with pretty much any Nihility unit, I think. I don't, unfortunately, think she works with Hanya, because Hanya's thing isn't a debuff, technically speaking, but I'm not 100% certain on that. This effect can only trigger once for every ability use after an enemy target exits the field or gets defeated by any unit while she's on the field. Their Crimson Knot stacks will be transferred to the enemy target with the most Crimson Knot stacks on the whole field. So she's insane. So her talent is one of the biggest reasons why she's a must-pull, in my opinion. Because she says, fuck your weakness type, I'm going to ignore it, and I'm just going to do big amounts of damage to you. Whereas Aventurine, on the other hand, is a preservation unit. Preservations typically want to protect their allies from getting harmed, so they give them a little white bar above their health bar, and that acts as a shield. So, Aventurine's talent is for any single ally with Fortified Wager, their effect res increases by a percentage, and when they get attacked, he gains a point of blind bet. When he has Fortified Wager, he can resist crowd control debuffs, which is amazing. This effect can trigger again after 2 turns. He additionally gains a point of blind bet after getting attacked. Upon reaching 7 points of blind bet, he consumes the 7 points to launch a 7-hit follow-up attack, with each hit dealing imaginary damage equal to a percentage of his defense to a single random enemy. Blind bet is kept at 10 points. So this is really good, especially if you have Topaz, where his follow-up attack gets buffed, and as well as with Robin. But those two are 5-star characters, and chances are you may not have them if you're free to play, or you do, because you got lucky. Who knows? I don't. His skill is really good. He provides all allies with a Fortified Wager shield that can block damage equal to percentage of his defense plus 80, or plus a certain amount, lasting for 3 turns. When Fortified Wager is gained repeatedly, the shield effect can stack up to 200% of the current shield effect provided by the skill. So he is basically Jeopard, but so much better, because instead of Jeopard applying his shield with his technique before battle, or when he uses his ult, Aventurine just uses his skill. And that's insane. And then we don't really talk about his ultimate because it's just a single target damage dealing thing, so there's that. So Aventurine is one of the best sustained characters in the entire game. Like, giving your allies effect resistance is huge, because then that means you won't need to worry much, at least I think, of giving them focusing on trying to get effect res for their from their relics and whatnot, so you can purely just focus on crit rate, crit damage, or break effect, if depending on the character it's crit rate and crit damage for crit-based units, / follow-up units that do that. Break units, and some break units do follow-up, so you're going to want to do follow-up them as well. And then effect hit rate for your dot units / someone like Acheron, I think. Anyway. But, yeah. 2.6 second half is fucking loaded. And I would honestly say, between Acheron and Aventurine, you're more than likely going to want to pick up Acheron. Because you are given a free Gallagher of choice. Now, you could still not have Gallagher, but that's your own mistake. Gallagher is one of the best units in the entire game. To be honest, like, he's way better than Natasha, and he's way better than Lynx. So, he's insane. With Acheron, though, I would highly, highly, highly recommend picking her up. Not just because she's a good DPS, but because we don't have a DPS that's quite like her, unfortunately. And I do think she is much stronger than Firefly. Because Acheron's light cone options are much more varied than Firefly. Not only that, but for some reason, Hoyle likes to have every single endgame mode, Epoch Shadow, MOC, and Pure Fiction, have lightning weak enemies in it. So they're really trying to push the agenda that you should have Acheron, you should have Jingyuan, you know? And it really sucks. It genuinely does. As speaking as someone who doesn't have either of those units, but really wants both of them because both of them are really cool. But yeah. So between Acheron and Aventurine, I would highly suggest Acheron. Now, that said, if you like using Ratio, if you have Topaz, and if you have Robin, then pick up Aventurine. Hell, if you have Fei Xiao, pick up Aventurine. Because, unfortunately, Huo doesn't work well with Fei Xiao, because Fei Xiao, much like Acheron, has a unique ult where it doesn't, have energy regen. It's just, I gain points whenever something happens. So, if you have Fei Xiao / like using Fei Xiao, and if you have Ratio, Topaz, and Robin, I would recommend Aventurine over Acheron. But even then, I would still highly recommend Acheron. She's just way too good of a unit. And I don't think they're going to be power creeping her anytime soon.
Seals its desire to control the heavens, and I'm no exception.
Don't throw the game! Who invited you? You won't get away. Here we go. I'll feast your Happy New Year! You won't get away.
You've got a lot of nerve.
Time for an overhaul. You won't get away.
Perhaps humanity never conceals its desire to control the heavens, and I'm no exception.
Huh? Everything's ridiculous. Oh, Star, give these trailblazers your blessing. I'm gonna hold everyone back again.
Fiend or devil, I'll crush them all!